Guys, the idea of this video is to try and understand that it's not even try to understand. It's to insist and assert that China has been making a fool of all of us, and China has been lying as far as the COVID-19 disease is concerned. I've been reading and researching on everything China said since November. In fact, they said that they declared on the New Year's Eve that this infectious disease has been found in China, and then it was contained within Wuhan, and there was no clear evidence of human to human transmission, which is all a lie. In fact, if you study the timeline of COVID-19 since December, January, February, it is very clear that China and the World Health Organization have been complicit. If they have not been complicit, they are responsible for the world, what the world is facing right now. At this point, as we speak right now, this is 19th of May. 90,000 people have died in the US. I'm sitting in India where the virus infections have touched about 100,000, and there are about over 3,000 deaths as of now. But it's screwed up our lives. It's screwed up all of us lives. So look at it. So the virus originated in Wuhan, right? And it could have and should have been stopped in Wuhan, right? Think about it. Like if you are in New York, or you're in India, wherever you are, you live in one part of the city, or one part of the world, right? And the virus originates in that particular city. Let's say a virus originates in New Delhi, or it originates in New York, right? You would do whatever possible the moment you understand that it is a virus that transmits by human to human transmission. You would block New York and not let anyone out of the city. If it's Delhi, you would block Delhi and not let anyone travel out of the city domestically, within India or internationally, because you know that the virus spreads by human transmission, and you don't want it to spread beyond the origin of the virus. China did not do that till even January. China did not do that. They allowed people to travel out of Wuhan internationally. In fact, they blocked travel from Wuhan within China, but for a long time they allowed people to travel internationally from Wuhan. So they let people who are infected from COVID to travel all over the world, and that's how the virus spread all over the world. So the timeline clearly shows that China is complicit. Like they screwed our lives as we know right now, because the world has changed as far as the the word post COVID is concerned. There's no post COVID right now. We're still in COVID right now as we talk. Uh, WHO, think about it from a WHO perspective. They would have an office in China. They would know, and they should have known, in case they are an efficient and effective organization, that the virus originated in Wuhan, and they should have told the entire world not to let anyone enter from China. I mean, at least if the WHO informed the world that this is a virus that spreads by human to human transmission, then at least the rest of the world could have blocked travel from China. Not no Nobody should have been allowed from China right from January. In fact, people from Wuhan were traveling all over the world till March the 11th, when uh, WHO declared it a global pandemic. I mean, something of this scale. If this is not a global pandemic, what is a global pandemic, and why was it not declared a global pandemic in January? Why was it declared a global pandemic in March, when it spread all over the world, and every country had to shut down their borders? In India, the lockdown started in the end of March, last week of March. India started lockdown on 25th of March, and we have been in lockdown ever since. So we are almost completing 60 days of lockdown on May the 24th, right? So we've almost been in 2 months of lockdown. But in case the virus had been contained in January, and we all of us had closed our borders in January from China, the virus should have stayed in China where it originated. In fact, if you look at it, there's no transparency from China. Nobody knows how many people are infected in China. Nobody knows how many cases are in China right now. Whatever China says, if you can trust China right now, you can trust any fool, because that's what China's made itself out of, right? Or it's made us fools, right? Because if you can trust China, you can trust any fool right now, any lunatic. Because that's what China has done to the world. There's no transparency. You don't know how many cases there. They silence the whistleblowers, the doctors, who try to tell the world that this is a global pandemic and it's infectious. It transmits by human to human transmission. There is zero transparency coming out of China. Yes, of course, people who live in the US and who are blaming Donald Trump, that he is responsible because he did not respond in time. Well, he did not respond in time, maybe because he trusted what China was telling, what Xi Jinping was telling him, because nobody could have imagined that one country could lose such a deadly virus on the world in one go. Like, why would you expect one country to do that? But they did exactly that. They let a virus loose on the entire world, and there's no transparency. They're pretending to help the world right now, but what they've really done is fuck the world. They screwed our lives as we knew it. So many hundreds of thousands of people have died. Over 3 lakh people, I believe, at this point have died all over the world from the virus, and there's no transparency. They are not letting any scrutiny happen whatsoever. They're not allowing any international scrutiny happen of China's actions right from the origin of the virus, because they are culpable. They are guilty. So you know what? In fact, if you think about it, that we've been saying that Iraq or North Korea or Iran may be the most dangerous places on earth. At this point, in case what China did is deliberate, China may be the most dangerous place in the world. I found out some videos and some pictures which I'll leave for you when I stop talking, for you to make your own opinion about what China's done to the world. Alright, bye.
Wuhan, China, a sprawling city of 11 million people. It was here that coronavirus, our invisible, brutal enemy, was born, festering at least a month and a half before the world was told.
I don't think there's any dispute at all in terms of the scientific record that this virus made its original jump to the first human sometime in mid-November of last year.
Emerging diseases expert Laurie Garrett has been eyewitness to more than 30 frightening disease outbreaks, including Ebola and SARS. Like most New Yorkers, she's now restricted to her apartment in Manhattan, sheltering from coronavirus.
That's about 12.5 million human beings. So we're a little bit bigger than Wuhan. And I feel like that's what I'm looking at, America's Wuhan.
The epicenter of the coronavirus in the States at the moment.
I don't know if you hear it right now, but I hear 4 sirens right now outside. These are all ambulances. There goes another one.
Wuhan, mid-November, and first cases of a strange new flu start surfacing. From early December, Chinese authorities say the new virus has arisen from a local live fish and animal market. They're adamant it's not SARS or anything like it. Anyone who suggests otherwise is suppressed. On New Year's Eve, an official announcement. The closure of the wet market has stopped the spread of the disease and there is no evidence of human-to-human infection of the virus. But as you'll see, that was not true.
From the very beginning, throughout December, it was spreading, and we now know it was spreading human to human. But the official line of the Chinese government was that this was all related to an animal market, and once they closed the market, it would all go away.
Did they know differently at that time?
Absolutely. Because they were seeing cases coming into the hospitals that had nothing whatsoever to do with that animal market.
A group of senior doctors at Wuhan Central Hospital was becoming more and more terrified by the cases they were seeing. Chief amongst them was Dr. Li Wenliang, the whistleblower who first tried to warn the world.
I'm sure history will record Li Wenliang as the hero of this entire pandemic. He recognized that he was seeing people with a bizarre form of pneumonia. He got into a chat room and said, "I think this looks SARS-like." So he posted this. That triggered every alarm in the system. So all 8 of the physicians, including Li Wenliang, were brought before the equivalent of a hospital tribunal and compelled to sign statements declaring themselves liars and that rumor mongers. And they were officially chastised, but they continued working, treating patients. And of course, we all know Li Wenliang died as a result of COVID at the age of 34.
They are responsible for one of the worst global pandemics ever known to mankind. And it's happening right now, and it's destroying people. It's destroying lives, and it's destroying our economy.
US Congressman Michael McCall is the most senior Republican on the Foreign Affairs Committee and is former chairman of Homeland Security. He accuses China of deliberately hiding the truth.